In this progress video, I will show you the steps I have undertaken thus far to make two bedside tables. I am constructing this project at Menai's Men's Shed, where I am able to work with and learn from several highly experienced members. This opportunity has allowed me to pick up several tips and tricks to the trade. The design need was to construct a table next to my bed to store items for myself. The design constraint was that it had to be 700mm high to suit my bed height. I designed a solution that was simple and elegant to match the style of my room. For the construction process, I begin with the legs. I start by cutting the timber to a length of 340mm and two lengths at 670mm. I do this by using the drop saw. Here I am using 40 by 185mm stock, which is much wider than what I need to make my legs at 40 by 40mm. I am able to get 4 legs from each of the lengths of timber by running the lengths through a table saw set at 40mm. These legs are then attached together to form a U shape, with two dowels attaching the legs together in the bottom corners. I set aside the legs to begin the docking process for the drawers, which is another word for cutting to length. I have 2 drawers located on each bedside table, so I have 4 drawers in total. I am using 138mm wide timber, so I start by ripping the boards first to 130mm using the table saw. I then use the drop saw to cut the boards to the correct length for each component of the drawer. Once the boards are at their correct length and width, I begin work on the different joints in the drawers. I start by constructing the housing joint for the back of the drawer to connect to the sides. This joint is made by using the table saw, with the piece held with a jig and a fence set at 10mm and the blade at 10mm high. By running the timber back and forth over the blade, moving it slightly after each pass, a wide trench is made for the drawback to sit in. The next step for the drawers was the construction of the finger joints. A jig was set up on the table saw to cut the finger joints like a reduction line. The timber is placed upright against the fence with a piece of timber clamped to the back fence to act as a stopper for the timber at specific lengths. The timber is fed through the table saw blade multiple times while moving the piece over slightly after each pass to cut a wide enough slot to make the finger joint. The next step I took was to make the back and side panels. First I cut the timber for the panels using the drop saw. I cut them 10mm longer than what I needed them to be so I could trim them to the final length after gluing. Using a biscuit cutter, I cut slots into the sides of the timber to make the wide board. I then applied glue to both sides of the boards, inserted biscuits and clamped them together. I attach clamps to the ends of the boards to avoid cupping during the gluing process. This keeps the boards straight. I then trim the boards to their overall length using the table saw. These are the steps I have taken so far to produce 2 bedside tables. Thank you for listening.